Hey everybody, this is Rydo and we're back to the 11th hour. Let's continue. So, we are supposed to be clicking on something about nightmares. Here's an image of a painting of a nightmare. This is fairly famous and it's been painted a lot of times. It's sleep paralysis basically, and lucid dreaming, and like you feel like you can't move because all your muscles are relaxed. It feels like something is sitting on your chest, and then you often hallucinate while you're dreaming with your eyes open and depict a creature, thus a nightmare, as in a night horse, because that's what I guess was originally hallucinated. A lot of paintings of this. So we click on this and we'll get more footage. Yep. A lot of costume changes, a lot of jumping around in the story seems unnecessary. A lot of girls bouncing around with bras that aren't really doing their job. Not that I hate the idea of seeing boob jiggle by any means, but it certainly is not something you see nowadays.
This famous prince a place to sleep, perchance to dream of an upset tea garden
No clue. A distant ancient castle. A distant ancient castle keep. So am I looking for a castle keep? This famous prince, a place to sleep. Any famous princess could be the solution there. To sleep, perchance to dream. This feels like he's just quoting some Shakespeare to me or something. So immediately, again, you just back to the walkthrough. Let's see. Downstairs into the library, click on the Great Dane in the picture next to the telescope. There was a Great Dane in the picture next to the telescope. Did not see that. Here's where I think you could improve the experience here. If the idea is to have people know and look around the room, you needed to establish, basically as the first puzzle, or as a way of leaving every room, you would want to in some way quiz them about the number of something in a room. So, number of paintings in the room, what the paintings are, number of dogs in the room. You could kind of easily have locks on the doors that was a combination of lock that would just lock every time you first enter the room, and then it could be the number of skulls in a room for the first code, plus then the number of seventh guest puzzles, or the number of urns in the room. Just really make the player wander around this room and look, and train them to memorize the location of everything and look at everything, which is a very different feeling from what you would do in most games, where you're just by default trained to ignore a lot of stuff, tons of stuff. So this was, why is the Great Dane the solution to that puzzle? A distant ancient castle keep.
Ah, didn't hear you come in. You gave me quite a fright. Amazing thing, this. Absolutely amazing, the things the Marquis has come up with, don't you think?
Here we have another ghost,
Absolutely amazing.
from the looks of it. And here we have
Good boy. Now speak.
a dog and a lady in a bra. Now, there might be an interesting bit of revelation there that the bad guy who's been taunting you this time is just the dog of someone else, and they might even be trying to kind of hint towards that, but it's not. We're not really getting that story told to us.
Sounds like a wounded bull's eye.
Let's look at the map and see if there's... I mean, pretty much everything is already unlocked, I think. So, last puzzle for this act. A man horse on the fly. Sounds like a wounded bullseye. Upstairs, turn left, go forward 3 times and through the door on the left. And then through the other door into the chapel. Turn left and zoom in and look at the stone with the triangle image to the left of the door. To win the game against Stauf, S-T-A-U-F is his name, you need to create 3 red paths that touch all 3 sides of the triangle. So, without the walkthrough, pretty much wander around not having a clue what to do. With the walkthrough, go to this place and do this thing without the game really telling you a reason why that's the thing to do. If the first act had kept you kind of locked in one room, and one room was just stocked completely full of puzzles, and that would be kind of amazing, because then you'd set this bare minimum of expectation and quality that every room would have a lot of puzzles in it and there'd be a lot of gameplay here. But clearly they couldn't deliver on that at all. They're getting like 1 puzzle per room at most, and then a lot of hidden object things to click on. So, yeah. Remember, the horse is a man horse on the fly. Sounds like a wounded bullseye. Why would this be the solution? Is this supposed to be a man horse? I've never even zoomed in on this. I'm not sure I could have even zoomed in on this. This looks incredibly pixely. And this walkthrough is particularly bad because it seems like it just tells you what to do. You need to create a red path that touches all 3 sides of the triangle. Okay. So I just lost. Right? I mean, I think I probably lost. I'm guessing the solution here probably starts with getting that very middle point, because then that guarantees you can kind of spread out. See, it seems like he just moved in such a way as to make sure he wouldn't really block me. Yeah, I've lost though. Like, is this, unless I could just go down here.
Keep at it, Carl. Even a blind pig finds a truffle occasionally.
And see, this puzzle in particular has has the problem of being particularly a pain because it's going to be really long. And with it being really long, we're going to be able to This is gonna wreck me. Like, I've just lost. Like, and
A lot of intermarriage in your families?
yeah, he just touched the 3 sides of the puzzle, and so he won. Okay, so now I've got the back side here. So now I've got 2 sides. Should be fairly impossible for him to beat me now. There we go. So one side here, one side here, one side here.
You'll not find the next one as pleasant.
Not particularly the hardest puzzle ever if you know what to do, which I didn't jump to the hint, but also not particularly a good puzzle because of just how much time you would have to do here. What you would want to do to fix this, and you can see it in the resolution, scale this down. Scale this down so you only have a smaller triangle with the exact same goal, and don't take up so much of the screen. Just put it in the middle. Maybe you have something artistic here. Just cut off this bottom part. I don't think it really would affect anything whatsoever to just have less moves. And this will probably be a particularly long video combining all the cutscenes we've seen up until this point, if I was to guess. It seems like her windshields are fixed now on her car. It oddly seem to have 2 windshield wipers on top of each other. No, they are oddly really on top of each other, overlapping.
Well, here it is.
It must just be
Thanks for your help.
a defective way to design windshield wipers
See you.
back in the 80s.
Take care.
I will.
You'd never want to do that, though, because it would just take one branch, one broken motor, anything to have one windshield wiper knock into the other. Even if they are both controlled by a gear. So,
Can I help you?
seems like the story was
Dr. Thornton, if he's available.
the
He's available. You a patient of
police chief took her to the doctor's office
I'm not here as a
and then left the scene, so he seemed to play no real role in the story.
I'd like to interview him. You're kidding. What do you want to interview him for?
And we're getting more of the cutscenes.
Hey, Doc. You awake?
Yes, of course.
Someone here from a TV show says she wants to interview you.
Well, send her in, Marie.
I imagine it wouldn't be too odd for doctors to be interviewed in general.
Hello, Dr. Thornton. Robin Morales. I'm a producer with Case Unsolved.
What can I do for you, Robin?
I'm researching a story on the Stauf mansion.
Oh?
I'm trying to follow a storyline involving
A lot of audio dialogue replacement.
myth or story. It seems that she's the only one who has survived an encounter.
So you can see her hands now. She clearly isn't the one with the artificial hand.
Stories about that old house.
I was told that you treated her the night that she lost her hand.
Yes, that's true. I did.
What do you think happened to her hand?
Well, it was bitten off by a dog. Everybody knows that.
So I've heard. But did it really look like a dog did it?
I guess this is before the time in which doctors couldn't talk about patients.
Never even heard of such a thing. Eileen's kind of unique that way. She's a bit of a celebrity around these parts because of it.
But really,
There is a reoccurring theme of Stauf being the dog.
Robin, it was a mess. A bloody mess.
So basically Stauf took her hand is what they're implying. Notice that she has her head back, and very possibly that's a fake head too, and it's just somebody moving even fake legs, or she just has her legs sticking up from under the table. But she's not,
Talk to Eileen.
they didn't get a shot of her crying or anything.
I know, and I hate to be the one to bring it back up to her.
That's a bad shot to make. You'd want to see the anguish in her face
That's the only one.
to make more people relate to it.
Who's she?
The one nobody talks about. She was there that night with Eileen. The two of them sneaked onto the grounds and broke into the house together.
Why wasn't she mentioned in any of the articles?
Her family had a lot of influence and kept her out. But if you think Eileen's hand is a mystery, well, Samantha's been paralyzed from the waist down and confined to a wheelchair ever since that night.
So Samantha is the other girl. Apparently,
Something's happened to Samantha.
so
Something's got her.
Who's Samantha?
Can you help her?
she's
I don't know.
the one that lost her hand.
Get out of here. I'm
Ap-
scared.
Apparently, she didn't get her hand lost before the point in which
Where's Rob?
he saw that recreation, that poltergeist activity of replaying something that had happened in the past. Now we've got some very weird black and white footage. Yeah, as a director, I would not film this stuff. Unless you're trying to imply that this redheaded girl is actually the killer in the story. And I would highly recommend nobody play around with straight razors. They are extremely sharp. And just joking, you could very easily slice somebody's throat. Yeah, that scene seems unnecessarily. I don't know why you would have even
Want some
scripted for it.
Just coffee. How's work? Boring. Got a light?
Being a prostitute, which I assume that's what she is a prostitute or a mistress,
No, I don't like you smoking, Marie.
in
Well,
a small town, probably not good business.
no one to blame but myself. I guess. Marie, I hear you've been seeing Chuck Lynch. So? He's a married man.
So, who cares?
So I care. You'll get a reputation, Marie. I don't want people calling my daughter a tramp.
Yeah? Well, like I said, like mother, like daughter.
Marie!
Save it.
Marie!
What?
It's
Will you be home tonight?
terrible age casting here. Like, that they didn't want to have Marie as too young, and they didn't want the mother of Marie to be too old when she really should have been older. And it doesn't feel like any of these characters are references to any of the characters in the previous game. And honestly, I think the characters you see in the previous game are kind of like in the 1800s too. So that would have been hundreds of years ago. So maybe if you were really paying attention to the names, some of these characters might be related to the people in the first game, but otherwise it seems like it's just completely unrelated. Here you have a slow motion shot for no reason, and if they had decided to put the camera lower, which maybe they did, you would be getting quite a lot of boob jiggle. I bet they thought this was cool. I bet they thought this was like groundbreaking to have slow motion running shot. Or maybe they just needed to slow down a shot. See, you can see that if she was out running, she's not wearing any kind of proper support.
You okay?
And the cuts here seem very obvious. It's not a smooth transition, as if each of these videos were one, if they were, the one big video was a different video than each individual video.
Yeah, I guess I was.
I imagine the technology to play these videos was pretty bad during the time. So they may not be able to play more than a few minutes of video in a row without
Why, thanks,
an
Jim.
awkward load section.
Okay, Jim.
Well, you wear them in good health.
I guess they addressed that she wasn't properly attired by giving her
Good night, Jim.
sneakers. Like, how would he know her foot size? That kind of makes him feel like a stalker more than anything. You can just barely make out bits of that driver's license in the back.
Ah, didn't hear you come in. You gave me quite a fright. Amazing thing this. Absolutely
Marquis
amazing
DESOLATE.
things the Marquis has come up with, don't you think? Absolutely amazing.
So that's basically what they're referencing in what this story is that Stauf is giving people what they want in kind of an evil way. I feel like this experience might have been better if there had been several instances over the course of 100 years and you were investigating different instances instead of one large story, because there's really no connecting through line between the events of the first game and this. And who knows what's going to happen in the fan game, whether they try to find more story. So somebody slit his throat, and then they immediately show who slit his throat, and we don't know this character. So no murder mystery there. So then why bother to shoot him in such a way that you couldn't see his face in previous parts? Yeah, that doesn't really make sense. Apparently we can now go to the attic. And here, and here, and here, which I feel like we could have gone there and there and there already. And the kitchen. So, how far can we go back in the story? We can go all the way back to the beginning. Which seems like our main character is just a self-insert for the director. He's not really playing any role so far. We kind of just forgot who he was. He might as well just be Ego again. Okay, what was the hint?
Put an olive in steam, mix it up, and get the equivalent of a fool's London subway.
Okay. So I have no idea what that means. Fool's London subway. But apparently, as we are now into the next act and we can hear the dinging, there's something there. I feel like in the first game, trying to walk through that area also was more difficult than it should have been. It doesn't feel like that was fixed in this game. And I guess if I didn't have the high resolution graphics on, I'm not going to bother to switch them to the low resolution graphics. But I guess the videos probably wouldn't be full screen. And maybe they wouldn't even be live action. I imagine what would happen is it would pop up here and you would have had to watch the videos in this screen, which, okay, yeah, that seems like that probably would be the case. All of a sudden we have a puzzle. If I can figure out where it is. Nope, you just click on it. So we're now into the 9th act, and there's not really a ton, so if we just follow the walkthrough all the way through, we should be fairly obvious. The only thing I could think is that there is a British comedy show called A Bit of Fry and Laurie, and they would make weird joke drinks, but I don't think any of them were actually called London Subway. And even if they were, that would have been a reference only people who were watching A Bit of Fry and Laurie would have gotten. And I'm not sure that that show would have been on when this game would have come out. And British TV certainly wouldn't have made any sense to most people in America, because those shows very rarely made over to the American audience.
Selling anything, I'm not interested. Please go away.
No, I just want to talk to you.
About what?
Eileen Wiley.
So now, after several hours of gameplay, we have Samantha actually getting introduced to the story properly. They tried to bring her into the story a little bit earlier than that, but it didn't make sense. A good instrumental part. I guess what we'll do here, just to try to have some game, is we'll think about everything we've seen and make a guess as to where it was, where we need to go next, and then I'll look at the walkthrough. So if it's a good instrumental part, it's either in the music room where we haven't entered before, or it's that piano / Victrola in the art room. So I'm gonna listen. It says go left through the door here into the chapel and click on the pipe organ. Okay, so it's the pipe organ in the chapel, not anything in the laboratory as in the well, I don't think there would be anything in the laboratory musical. It really does just seem like every time you do this, there's 3 different places that could be the solution. And if the game randomized it, then you'd have at least a reason to play a second time. But then this walkthrough wouldn't work. So they clearly didn't do that. And so we just needed to click on it.
In New York is 222-33642736846846873.
So there you have an 8-digit number instead of a 10 to 10 plus phone number reference, showing how old this game is. So I would assume that would take you to the phone downstairs. Looking at the walkthrough, you leave the bedroom, go straight ahead upstairs to the attic, an area we haven't even been. So, yeah. It's really impossible for the hint to be helpful if you haven't been somewhere. And it's really impossible for you to have been somewhere if most of the areas are locked off. I just realized that in that slide puzzle where we had the circular light over it, that was our flashlight. We've been just playing with the flashlight on everything anyways. It certainly wouldn't improve the game if these load screens took even more time than they if this was an old game. I imagine they very possibly would have taken more time. Let's see. Go upstairs to the attic, click on the toy trains to see a new puzzle. Toy trains, you say. Here's another torso. There was a torso puzzle before. This is the exact same 3D model being reused, I guess. There they are. Down here. It says Faust, F-A-U-S-T. For a second there I thought it might be autism, but they wouldn't have used that phrase. So, let's try and do this puzzle before we end this recording. Let's see. Says you have to spell the word Stauf.
Manipulate the cars by switching between the top and the bottom track. Use the switcher.
So Stauf is the name of the bad guy that they probably should be saying a lot more. Okay.
Let me know when you have a clue.
That's not what I wanted to do. What do I click on? This. And this. Okay, so I have forward and back. And boy, does nothing want to work. Apparently you have to be able to go forward. Maybe you have to do that. Okay. This is not gonna be fun. It just doesn't, and the videos are not playing particularly well either. It's Stauf, S-T-A-U-F. So I've got to get the S and this T out of order. So I guess maybe if I could maybe move this forward. Like, how any of these connect to anything or do anything, I don't know. Like, there's no wire even connected here. So you would just assume that it's all wrong. And this is gonna just take a lot of time. Like, I half want to do this off screen just to save people time because of just how terrible this is, but I don't think that there's a solution there. Alright, I'm gonna see if I can switch this. So if we switch this, we can't go forward now. I don't know how any of this is supposed to work. Like, it seems like the left one has to just always be on. What would be easier is if ST and AU were combined. That would probably improve this experience a little bit, so that you're not moving things a ridiculous amount of time. But when things connect versus when things don't connect seems not to really make sense. It seems like it connects and disconnects almost at random. And this doesn't feel like this is going to be a fast experience. It seems like you are just going to do a lot of backwards and forwards, and there's no way to really speed this up, and it doesn't feel like that there's any real experience here that they would say, okay, you figured it out. I vaguely recall that the last puzzle in The Seventh Guest was very similar to this also. Yeah. This is not good. Just doing the same thing over and over again and hoping not to make a mistake, because one little mistake obviously is going to cause you such a headache that you can't really afford it. And I don't know if there's really a way to push things once you're in front. So I don't think you can work from the right side at all. And each of these is just incredibly slow. Is there perhaps a way we can speed this up? Let's double click. Clicking, 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 clicking. While you do get an awkward jump action, it's not right. It's totally not what you're expecting. I'm mouse still seems to want to give me trouble whenever I click somewhere because it seems like it's just constantly in the wrong place. And so we're gonna get everything kind of backwards, and then we're gonna hope that by getting everything backwards we can solve it. But boy, does this stink. Like, leave these ideas on the cutting room floor. If you can't playtest them, if you can't do anything with them, if you can't make them even slightly understandable or entertaining, just give me an interactive movie, or just give me a movie of any case, and I think you probably would be better off. Okay. The weird thing here is I think there's a way that probably helps the player a little bit also in this. If every time you crossed a path it just toggled automatically, that probably would have worked a little bit better. Okay. Maybe this toggle locks some things down. That might be the case. Yeah, it feels like at this point, had the S and the T been connected, and the A and the U been connected, feels like you would have had the solution by this point. And if there was a way to lock down the letters in such a nice way, that would have been really good. If we switch that and lock that down, and then we switch that, and we go in reverse, can we go back any further? It seems to me like the answer to that is no. Trying to think here if there's something I'm doing wrong. not immediately seeing something. Man, I keep making the same mistake over and over again. Which, if there was just a little hook that would latch on to these letters to show that you're connected to them, that would be appreciated. What would be funny is if you spelled guest with a G, just like an obvious reference. But clearly that's not going to happen. Seriously, making the exact same mistake over and over again. And very well, I might be making the same mistake over and over again anyways, and this might be a very complicated recursive puzzle that the walkthrough seems to have no hint for at all. No help. So, even though I've been using a walkthrough non-stop with all of this, it is still been a situation where, where it doesn't quite work. Apparently you can't get all 5 letters in the middle. Can I go backwards? In any way, form, or fashion? No. Can I do anything? I can't go forward, I can't go backwards. I change that, and then I can go forwards. Unless I'm making more progress than I think I am, I think I'm gonna have to play this off screen, because this is gonna be excuse me, this is gonna be another 10 minutes by the looks of it. Like, I don't think we're seeing a solution here that fast. And I don't know if we're making any progress really at all. I think maybe we are. But certainly not a lot of it, and not quickly by any means. And I definitely can't change the track while I'm sitting on the track. And this is pretty irrelevant to most people, I would say. I don't think too many people these days play with electric trains, and if they do, they probably don't work with a dial. Then you have this level of stupidity to this, which I guess is true for all the puzzles, is why not just cheat? What's stopping you from picking up the letters and moving them instead of playing by the rules, other than the fact that the game is stopping you? Yeah, this definitely feels like this could be a recursive puzzle where you're gonna have a lot of trouble. Can't switch that. Can switch that one. Yeah. The problem here is it doesn't seem like you can pick up something from in front of you. So if I was to go back this direction, I need to now be able to go back further and go forward. And then switch this. And these are still out of order because let's say I put the F here and then the U and then the A. Then I need this S and this T to somehow be T and S, and they aren't. I don't know how to do that. And frankly I want to reset and try again, so yeah. That's all the help you get. We're in the attic. As far as other locations to look at, we should look at them, but almost certainly we will see all of those before the end of the game. We are getting bits of story, but they don't really save now, yes. So we'll make save spot 9. Which is to say we're 4.5 hours plus into the game. And yeah, I'm gonna end the recording here and just play off screen. It probably won't be a problem to be just one step away from the solution, and then we'll start the next recording here because we're 20 minutes over and this is just not working. It totally isn't working for me. It's totally not working as a real puzzle. It's totally not fun or entertaining in any way. If I was going to remake the 7th Guest series, I guess what I would do is probably try to just tell the story fairly quickly in something like a Telltale game and not have any puzzles if I can't program any puzzles. If I could get people to program puzzles for me, then I'm fine with putting puzzles in the world. If I can't do that, just have a game like Soma or any kind of horror game like Amnesia, the Amnesia series. Just a horror game where you walk around Maybe you see visions, maybe you get lines of text in notes, maybe you get audio logs. You could probably have a writer write a lot more dialogue and events occurring and backstory for a modern game to try to flesh out what really happened and what's really going on. Maybe you bring back these actors to voice some characters, but you don't do full motion video. It depends on how old these characters are and if they're all still alive, I suppose. But yeah, at the end of the day, you would want a really, really good story that would both satisfy the small cult following of the Seventh Guest series while also introducing it to a much larger audience. There's a game called System Shock that they're trying to remake. Basically, they're trying to do the same thing in that case too, where you've got to really modernize the game and bring in a bigger audience than what it got originally, because the days of selling 1,000 copies of a game is no longer a reasonable amount for a business venture. Anyways, that's going to be it for this recording. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. If you want a friend or follow me on any social media sites, there's a whole bunch of links down below in the description box. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.